Welcome to Help with Henry Windows 8 Help Guide. So you've got your shiny new laptop or PC and it's got Windows 8 installed. Oh brilliant, the latest and greatest operating system. You boot it up and what do you see? Tiles, tiles and more tiles. How do I do anything? Where's the start menu? How do I navigate? How do I even shut this thing down? Luckily Henry's here to help. I'll guide you through the basics of navigating your way around the new interface. Okay, so here's all your tiles on the screen for you, which are probably new to you. Towards the bottom left, you'll see a little desktop tile, which will get you onto a more familiar desktop that you're probably used to. Or you can press Windows D on the keyboard to get you into the same place. You'll notice there's no start menu in the corner, but I'll show you how to navigate around this new beastie. So on the desktop here we've got icons that you're going to be used to over here, and if you press the Windows key on its own you can go back to the tile screen that we started on, and if you press it again you can just go back and forth between the two. I'll show you other ways in a short while to navigate around. So we've got all these tiles on here. Let's open a few of them up. We'll open calendar one first. Press Windows just to go back to the tile screen. What else should we click? How about this bit of news down here? A bit of royal news for you. What's this all about? A bit of drama. So press the Windows key. Let's go back again, and we've got three tiles open now: the calendar, the royal news, and the desktop one we opened a little bit earlier. If we go towards the top left hand corner there, you'll see your most recent tile that you opened, and if you move slowly down you'll see the other couple as well. So you've got the calendar there and the desktop underneath. So we'll click into one of them. So we'll click into the calendar one, and there you go. And if we press the Windows button again, we can go back to the tile screen. If you just press it again, it just sends you back and forth between the recent tab and the tile screen. Worth noting as well, if you go to the bottom left hand corner, you can see the same sort of thing with these recent tiles. So back up here, if we click on one of these, let's go to the calendar one. How do we close this? There's no little red box in the corner. So if we drag our mouse up to the top, it'll change to a hand. If we hold down the left click button and drag it down to the bottom, there, throw the thing away. And if we go back in up here, let's go to our royal tile. We could close that the old traditional way by pressing Alt and F4. That's the function key, F4. And that'll get rid of it as well. And how about the desktop? Let's close that as well. Hold near the top, drag it down, gone. You can easily reopen it again just clicking on that tile in the corner. And I'll just close that again there. So what else do we have? Again, Microsoft's got its fetishes for corners, so top right and bottom right corners will open something called a charms menu. In here you've got things like search, share, start, devices and settings. Let's start in the search box. So if there's something, you know what it's called, let's say notepad, we'll click on that and there we go, we've got our notepad. Type that in and open it up, and it'll open up on our old desktop. I'll press the Windows button to go back. Let's go back into this charms top right. What else we got in here? So you can either type things in the search box or you can browse around this screen. Loads of apps in there. It's all a little bit untidy for my liking, but I'm just a doll. So let's go back into charms. What we got up here? We've got some more underneath here, some more little apps that have been thrown in for fun. A bit like the tiles on the front screen, a lot of these. And then we've got this other little box here, a share box. Haven't really got anything to share, so nothing too exciting for you. And then the start, a bit like pressing the Windows key. on your keyboard. Goes back and forth between apps. Now devices, nothing too exciting in there. If I had a second screen set up, I could configure it there. But let's go down to the settings. Now, the interesting thing about the settings is that there's one settings charm for the tile screen. And when you go into the familiar desktop we spoke about earlier down here, there's a different setting screen. So I'll just concentrate on this one for the minute and we'll come back to the other one in a little while. So I've got tiles. This just lets you drop the administration tools onto your tile screen. Personal preference really. And then we've got the help. If you go into any of these, you can drop yourself on the Microsoft website with some little helpful tidbits. And then down here you've got your wireless settings, your sound settings, brightness, notifications, and for some ridiculous reason, the power button is in settings. Not sure when that became a setting Microsoft, but there you go. I'll show you a much better way a bit later of switching your machine on and off. And then you've got the keyboard settings as well. So I'm going to go down here to the change PC settings. Now this is like a friendly control panel for you. You've got things like the start screen and account picture and the like that you can play with. You can make some basic user changes in there. Not as powerful as a control panel, but we'll come to that later. And then the general screen, quite a lot of settings in this one that you might want to play around with. But I'd encourage you just to have a mooch around in these PC settings, see what you've got in there. You can switch things on and off, switch your wireless on and off and the like. So it's worth mooching around in there. And then I'm just going to close this like I do the other apps. I'm going to drag it down to the bottom. Anyway, down into this desktop tile in the corner, and we'll look at how the settings screen is a little bit different in this Charms menu. So we'll go down again to settings. And you'll see all the little boxes down here are much the same. But at the top, we've got some different little boxes. Control panel, personalisation, PC info and help. So let's go into control panel. And it's just like the old Windows. Should be pretty familiar for you. And then back into the settings. Let's look at personalisation. There you go. You can change your themes and the like. And then we'll come out of that. We'll go into settings again, PC info. If you've ever right clicked on my computer and gone into properties on your old Windows, this is much the same screen. And in the top left hand corner, you've got things like device manager and remote settings, etc. You can tweak in there. If we go into settings one more time, help. This is your familiar help screen that you're going to be used to from the old Windows. Now it's worth mentioning that you can open and close the Charms menu by pressing the Windows key and C for Charms, like so. Open and close. I'll put a list of shortcut keys for Windows 8 on the Computer and Console website, so you've got easy reference. If we close that. Now, remember I said there was no Start menu on Windows 8? Well, that's strictly true, but there is some useful stuff in there as well. We go back down into our corner where you might have found the Start menu in the past. Right down there. If we left click there, drops us back at the tile screen. But if we do a right click, we get what's called the admin menu. Again, there's a shortcut key. If you press Windows and X, you can get to the same screen. Let's do that now. Win X. There you go. Now in here, there's some familiar stuff. Programs and features, or add remove programs as it used to be. I won't bore you with all these mobility sensor power options and the like. Just have a little click on these to have a mooch around. Some more familiar ones: command prompt, the elevated command prompt, task manager, control panel, file explorer, search, the run box, and get it back to the desktop down here. But I won't dwell on these too much. I know you ain't got all day. But I will go into the task manager because it's been improved so much in Windows 8. So I'll just maximise this baby. And what we got? Well, you've got your processes. Some of this will be familiar, but it is laid out much nicer than it used to be. We can see the processor usage, memory, disk, network on all the processes you've got open. Nice performance screen. You can see your graphs. of all the resources again. But this is a real useful one, the app history. We go into there, we can see historic information of all the processes and programs that's been using all your resources on your machine. So mine's not really been too heavy, but if you've got something that keeps chewing up all the resources, you can see what's been going on over a period of time. And then there's other tabs, you've got your startup stuff, so you can see which programs kick off when the machine starts up, and you can disable those as well. You can see which users are heating all the resources on the machine again. There's just me sitting on here, so I could just see what I've been using. A bit more detail about the processes that are running, and you can force them to close as you used to be able to with the end task. And then finally the services tab. This is just where you can define what starts up when the machine boots, and you can enable start and stop those processes and change their startup defaults. So I just thought we'd quickly run through Task Manager because it has been improved so much. So Windows 8, it's designed to be familiar on various devices, your laptops, PCs, phones, tablets, but primarily touchscreen. If you're on the tile screen, you can see all this, it's crying out for touchscreen. So I'm going to give you a little tip here. If you're running on a laptop and you've got one of those trackpads for your mouse, if we go down, let's go back to the desktop there with the right Windows button, and we'll right click and go into Control Panel. You go into Mouse, and this will vary from manufacturer to manufacturer, but it should be pretty similar. I'm going to go into Device Settings. Now I can tweak a lot of the settings for my trackpad, and I can enable things such as 2-finger scrolling, and you can have 2-finger gestures. I'm sure you know about those. And you can enable and disable it, and also you can have things like pinch zoom. You can change the sensitivity, the zoom rate. There's a lot of settings in here worth looking at and worth tweaking for your own preference. I'm just going to cancel out of that. You can always drop them back to defaults if you want. I'm pretty happy with mine, but if we go back to the tile screen with the press of the Windows button, I'll show you a couple of these gestures I've got on here. So I can drag my finger in from the right to get the charms menu up and back again. I could do a 2-finger scroll, so I can see all the apps on there, and I could do a pinch. There you go. You can also do the same thing as a pinch using the little minus button down here, which will zoom out. Another press will zoom back in again. So what else can you do on this tile screen? Well, let's zoom out. And you see I've got this little box here called Henry Stuff. If we do a right click, I can rename that. I can either remove the name altogether, like I've got on these other boxes, or I can give it a new name. I'll just call it Stuff. There you go. And if we zoom back in with a pinch, there, this bunch is all my stuff. Now, I'm just going to try to show you a couple of other bits and bobs. We can move these boxes around. If we zoom out, I can move stuff. Let's put stuff there. There you go. Let's put it back. So it's all designed for touchscreen, as I mentioned. And if we zoom back in again, we can move these things around as well. There's tiles, so let's put mail there. Let's put mail back. Let's resize it. We right click on it. Right click again, it vanishes. But if you right click, you get a little tick box and a few bits down here. We can unpin it from this start box. You can uninstall it altogether. Be careful with that one. And you can make it smaller. There you go. That's nice and small. And then you can right click again and make it larger again. Okay, while I'm here, I'm just going to go into Internet Explorer. You'll notice there's 2 phases to Internet Explorer, one on the tile screen, one on the desktop. We're going to the tiles one. Whoa, this is all different. What's the address bar doing down there? How do I change my settings? Oh, there's nothing there. God, this is horrible. Right, I'm going to bet it. Gone. We go to the title screen. Internet Explorer. Familiarity. Settings. There we go. We're back to normal. So just remember, Internet Explorer has got two faces. And you can also download other browsers like Firefox and Chrome and such, which you might prefer. I know I do. So you should be a bit more comfortable browsing your way around Windows 8 now. So I'm just going to touch on a couple of slightly more advanced topics. Nothing too heavy though for you. Now you remember earlier I mentioned the shutdown being hidden away woefully in the settings menu. Where's it gone? It's in there somewhere. It's in there. So oh, there it is in settings. Anyway, enough of me moaning. How about if we add it on our tile screen, or if we flick to our desktop on here? So I'm going to do a right click. I'll do a new shortcut. So in here I'm going to type shut down space /S for shutdown /T0. Now if you want the machine to reboot rather than just shut down altogether, you substitute the S for an R, like so, and then it'll do a restart rather than shut down. I'm going to go for shut down. We'll do next. We'll leave the name of the shortcut. That's just what's going to be displayed on the screen, so we could change that to restart if we'd have tweaked that S to an R, and we'll do a finish. If I double click on that, it will shut down, but at the moment I don't like that icon, so I'll do a right click, properties, and I'm going to change the icon. I'm going to ignore the message, and then there we are. There's our shutdown icon. Okay, that, and there's our shutdown. Obviously I can drag it around at will. But how about the tiles menu? If we do a right click, pin to start, I'm just going to press the Windows button now. Let's see if it shows on this screen. There we go, there's our shutdown. And I can drag that across. Let's create our own new little box over here. If I click that, it'll shut down. If you want to remove it, no problem. Do a right click, unpin from start. Back to here, and we can remove it from there by just doing a right click and a delete, and it's gone. And here's something else you might find useful. It's a one-stop shop really for all your Windows settings, and it's a little known feature called God Mode. It was in previous versions of Windows, but it is little known, but it is useful if you want to really get into the nitty gritty and have everything in one place for your settings. So I'm going to do a right click on my desktop, to new folder. Now I'm going to cheat. I've already copied it to the clipboard, so I'm going to just paste it in there. But basically, you have to type this word for word. So it's God Mode, capital G, capital M, no space, full stop. Then it's a curly brace, curly brackets, and then ED7BA. You get the feeling for it. This whole word here has to be copied word for word. I'll put a copy of this on my computer and console website, so you can copy and paste it if you like. But have a good look at that. Pause the video if you want to copy it. But just remember it goes on at the top here, God Mode dot, and close it with a curly brace, and then enter. It'll change the icon automatically, and then we can double click on it, and what do we have? You've got Action Center, add features, admin tools, autoplay, everything you could ever want is in here. Just scrolling down. So all the settings are in one place, and it's a pretty useful tool to have at your disposal. Just going to close it, and again you can pin it to the tiles menu if you want to do a right click and then pin to start. And you can delete it as well if you want to.